Good morning, everyone. My name is John October, and I just want to welcome you at our first COVID-19 Business Battle Plan webinar. It has been over 30 days that we've now been in this under lockdown, and this global pandemic has had significant impact on all our lives, all aspects of our lives. As Old Mutual Insurer, we, as part of our ongoing efforts to support SMEs, we've decided to partner with Pablo Fatidis, a well-known business growth expert who's been working in the space to essentially help SMEs and our business partners to better deal with the challenges of COVID-19 and, as some people say, the new normal. So the objective is really to, with this webinar, to offer practical insights in how we deal with this current business environment. How do we get the right mindset in taking our businesses forward? And how do we, in actual fact, navigate post-COVID-19? Because as all indications are that we would most probably have to deal with this for the next 6 to 12 months. So from Old Mutual Insurer, we are very proud to have and happy to have Pablo Fatidis here to share with us his insights and to help, I think, all of us in terms of dealing with some of the next level growth and value challenges that we are facing, not only as large businesses, but also as SMEs. So over to Pablo.
Thank you, John. It is a difficult time indeed at the moment, not only here, but globally. Mike Tyson said it, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. And he was so right, because at the beginning of this year, there wasn't one business owner that I had spoken to that never had new, fresh growth plans, that wasn't attaining a new belief in the country itself, in the leadership of the country itself. And hey presto, we got punched in the mouth. We got punched in the mouth by something called COVID. It's hit us very, very hard. Here's the thing. That's what a winner looks like. In around 1994, Mike Tyson was undefeated across all the heavyweight titles. He was looking for a filler fight before his main bout with Evander Holyfield. And this chap, Buster Douglas, put up his hand. He was a very mediocre fighter, almost a no-name brand. They got into the ring. People were betting on 39 seconds. They were betting on 1 minute, 12 seconds. And the pundits were making a ton of cash around this, or so they thought. In the 8th round, one of the longest bouts Mike Tyson had to fight, he eventually knocked Buster Douglas down to the ground. In the 10th round, Buster Douglas knocked out Mike Tyson. Winners get up, whether it be you, whether it be me, or whether it be our clients. That's the difference. And the payday for those who do get up will be enormous. I'm going to talk to you about how to win in a storm. It's about getting yourself through your clients to a very safe harbor. And it is a very stormy sea that we are sailing in. The first thing is you need to take a view of the future and yourself. Let's quickly look and understand what COVID means to our economy. I'm sharing with you a very simple graph, and the only graph I will be sharing with you. It came out of the American economy, and it's looking to try and understand when will people get to daily testing, when will the first vaccines come out, and when will they be globally available. If you look at this and understand it and interpret it, the long and the short of it is that we have between 18 to 24 months of a COVID environment. In South Africa, we've adopted a strategy really led by our health ministry, and thank heavens for it. Through Dr. Zweli Mkhize, he decided that the role and responsibility of the health ministry is to keep people safe. What else would we want? With that, They devised a strategy around shutdowns and easing into and back out of the economy over the period of time that it would take for a vaccine to be made available. All of this is governed by the capacity of our healthcare resources. As people get more infected, as our healthcare resources come under strain, we can expect further shutdowns to take place. They're going to enter into the new economy from this week, Friday, in fact, through various stages, stage 4, stage 3, stage 2, stage 1. There's still a lot of uncertainty and poor clarity around it. What I really appreciated by the Health Ministry was the fact that it made very clear, in fact, abundantly clear, that everybody is equal in the COVID environment. Whether you be black or white, old or young, rich or poor, male or female, everyone is subject to infection and everyone is subject to risk of life. It's a good strategy, but it's created a really tough economic environment. The easing back into our economy is something we all need to get our heads around. We need to find a single source that's reliable, because when you are planning your business's growth ahead, and that being through your clients, not understanding the difference between stage 5 all the way through to stage 1 will set you back. Think of it. You speak to me about my business with the view to do business. If you don't understand my business, then I can't hear you and I can't see what you have to offer, because I don't feel like I'm the center of your concern. And in the environment we are in, being in the center of your concern matters to me as a client. The risk matrix considers economic value, economic stress, transmission risk. It's quite technical and very interesting because it tells you and teaches you about the South African economy. Explore it, look at it, but accept this. Over the next 24 months, we will go through various stages of shutdown from stage 5 all the way through to perhaps even stage 1. But we will go back and forth a couple of times, governed by our health capacity. So how do you get yourself under control? It all begins with you. And this woman, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, an American-Swiss psychologist, committed her life to understand grieving and loss, specifically the loss of loved ones. And for us as business owners, for us who rely on commercial activity in order to earn our living, in order to feed ourselves, our family, in order to look after our staff, in order to fulfill our dreams, to create meaning out of our work life, the COVID shock is a sense of loss. What she said is, when you see someone that you care about and love, perhaps not going to make it through, perhaps because of a terminal illness or whatever the case might be, very often, because you can't face the fear of loss, you deny that it's real. You then rely on hope, you rely on prayer, you rely on everything that could possibly make this reality not a reality in your life. As it becomes evident that the person is going to pass on, you go through a period of frustration. I read a lot of the comments that you have put forward to me in preparation for the content in this webinar. The frustration is right through the entire collective of yourselves. Everybody is feeling it. It's not personal to you and you're not alone in it. That frustration translates into anger and fear very often. And when you realize that now you have lost this person, or it's inevitable that they're going to be lost, you move into a place of depression. A lot of people can stay there for a long time, and some people work themselves out of it very quickly. The way you do that is you need to start doing things differently. You need to turn to action rather than thought, and action rather than contemplation around what you could do next. How do you create a life outside of that person you've lost? What can you do differently? And you start to try new things. As you try new things, you see what works, you see what doesn't work, you make a decision to commit to the things that work, and you integrate it back into your life, and you integrate it back into your commercial life. This Kubler-Ross curve, all of us are going through it. Most of us are in various stages of it. Understand it to understand your own emotional mindset. Understand it to understand how you engage with other people. Can you picture yourself trying to do a transaction with me when I'm in the frustration phase or depression phase? What would I want over there if I'm your client compared to what would I want over here if I'm your client? So take this Kubler-Ross curve, understand yourself first so you can understand how you're thinking and behaving. The reason that's important is because your attitude, driven by where you are in this curve, will affect your behavior, and your behavior will affect the outcome of your effort. Understand it in terms of your family, because most of us are all working from home in the midst of our families. The frustration at home is enormous, and grab onto it, understand it, read it, interpret it, because in doing so, it helps you understand where your staff are in the curve, and most importantly, it helps you understand where your clients and customers are in the curve. Empathy really matters here. The way that I use it to control myself is I hold on to things that are certain, absolutely certain. There's an enormous amount of content out there with differing views. Some of it is nefarious and it's aimed to hurt us and create deep concern and to create panic. Some of it is very cavalier, simply brushing aside very real risks. When people went and bought toilet paper, did you ever think why they were doing it? And perhaps some of you were doing it. We saw it extensively in Australia, we saw it in the States, we saw it in the UK. They were doing it because when people are deeply uncertain, acting to mitigate the uncertainty gives you a sense of control and power. That's what they did. They didn't understand COVID like very few of us do. They didn't know what to do like very few of us do. So what did they do? In order to demonstrate that they were in control of their lives, they bought toilet paper. So let's go to truths. Absolute truth, undisputable, you were born. You will die one day, hopefully late in your life and in your sleep. You cannot change another person. For those of you who have tried and failed, trust me, it's because it's an absolute truth. For those of you who think you still can, good luck to you. Maybe the 4th, 5th, 300th attempt will take you to this absolute truth. Only another person can change themselves. They have to decide to. We have always lived in a world of great uncertainty. As South Africans, think about what we've been through in the last 5 years. Look at the mismanagement of the economy. Look at the disaster of Eskom and how it's impacted a lot of you at Old Mutual Insure, where you're specifically speaking to businesses that rely and require electricity to trade and operate. Look at the uncertainty that's been created socio-politically, all the investment downgrades. We are far more resilient than we realize and think. I work extensively with businesses in the US, in the UK, and the EU. They've had it easy for the last 5 years in comparison to us. When I talk to them, they don't have that same hard-headed, I'm going to win in this environment, I'm tougher than COVID, and I will make a plan. They don't have it because they haven't been trained for it. It's all we are aware of, and we have got muscle memory and fitness, and we're going to learn how to use it today. The next thing is what is. The is sacred, not what could have been, should have been, ought to have been, not what you would wish for. It's really important to be present, because in being present, you don't allow your mind to think back, which is secondhand information and has no value and capability to make the present better. If being present, it allows you to read an environment with more clarity so that you can create a strategy into the future with more certainty. Being present is absolutely crucial. Do not blame, do not point fingers, get angry certainly, but stay in the present moment as much as possible. When we look at all the support that's out there available to us, Should we apply for the support and not get access to it? Don't blame. Don't say government is not doing enough. The Solidarity Fund is not doing enough. For that matter, Old Mutual Insure is not doing enough. Whoever it may be, do not blame, because the moment you blame, you remove yourself from the present and you disempower yourself to take action. The only thing we have 100% control over is our attitude. Our attitude to anything: life, love, family, kids, education, business, staff, colleagues, suppliers. Our attitude determines the way we behave, and mostly we're unaware of it. The way we behave, the actions of everyday life and habits, is what builds the outcome of life, love, family, education, your business, your clients' engagement and experience with you. If you have not got a good outcome in whatever it may be, it's important to get to the present moment and then change your attitude. Turning around and saying, COVID has me beat, is no different to when you get smacked in the face, not getting off the mat. The only thing you control is your attitude. Nobody else can control it for you. So let's get straight into it. It's really important for both your own business, but equally importantly and more importantly, your client's business. More importantly, because you make your money from serving your clients. To the extent that you understand their business and their lived reality, makes you the right partner for them in a tough period. I want you to just take a look at this image over here. It's an onion. We all know what an onion looks like. If you slice it in half, it has a central core sweet layer. It has the next outside layer, which is burny. And then you've got the skin, the final layer. We know that the heart of the value lies in the core. The next area that gives the flavor and taste is the second layer, and the skin is really there to be discarded. Start to look at your business like that and adopt this as a view to understand business in general. So both for your business and your client's business, think about what is absolutely core and strategic, because that's what you need to hold on to and guard. In other words, what plant and equipment, what skills, which people, what relationships, which suppliers, which customers are absolutely core and strategic to my existence. Another way to answer that question is to say, without those customers, without these skills, without these staff members, without those suppliers, without these tools, will I be able to operate? Period. I might not be able to in lockdown, but the moment lockdown lifts, will I be able to operate with those elements that are in my inner layer, the core and strategic parts to what make me capable of doing business? When I look at my clients, I need to be asking the same question, because they too are in a similar position to you. And in fact, where they differ from you is that many of them are carrying significant fixed overheads in order to go about their daily trade. In those instances, they aren't clear on how they should be looking at their businesses. The fact that you have a view on it immediately makes you more a partner or a useful relationship than a salesperson or simply another transaction. So the first thing we're going to do is look at our own businesses and develop the technique to then look at our clients' businesses. The next layer, this layer here, is everything that is strategic to my being, but not core to me. And then you're going to partner. So for example, let's look at technology. Technology is absolutely strategic for you. If you have not created the interfaces or capabilities to talk to your clients and talk to your staff during a lockdown period, then you can't operate. But Does it mean you need to be an expert on hardware and software? Does it mean you need to be an expert on integrating the hardware and software and getting connectivity? No, it absolutely doesn't. It's not your core business. If you don't have that internally within your own business, you can source it from someone who is an expert, in other words, whose business it's core and strategic to be able to buy technology, integrate software, create connectivity, and make sure it operates for their clients and customers. You, for example. So technology now is strategic, but not core. In those instances, you partner. The final layer, the outermost layer, is everything non-core and non-strategic. So if you think about it in your particular business, it would be stationery. You don't need to own a stationery shop or to make pencils and to make paper and to make pens in order to operate. That is a pure commodity, and that you buy on price from a number of providers wherever they may be. If you've got those capabilities in your business, it's the layer that you shed first. And the reason you're going to be doing it as a business is because in an uncertain economy, you want to preserve cash flow. You would rather acquire services like that at best price and best service, as opposed to owning it internally as a fixed cost in your own business. So look at your business as one would look at the onion. Do an analysis for yourselves after this webinar. What's in my inner layer that's core and strategic to me? What's in my next layer, which is non-core and strategic? And what's in my outermost layer? Because this analysis is going to be useful for the battle plan I'll be sharing with you. Also, if you develop this analysis as a technique, it lets you develop an empathy for every client that you're going to be engaging with. Because if you can understand their business in this manner, or alternatively, if you can engage with them through a series of questions to understand their business in terms of this structure, it shows you where the most important elements of insurance and risk mitigation lie, compared to the next layer, compared to the final layer. Empathetic engagement. What is empathy? Empathy is putting yourselves in the shoes of another person. It's incredibly hard to do. South Africa is a very fragmented society. We're not like the Swedish, where everyone is mostly kind of the same, socially, economically, politically. We're a fragmented society for many, many historic reasons and current reasons. And that is wonderful. And it's wonderful because as a marketer, as a person involved in selling, it allows you to develop a whole lot of deep specialist capabilities in learning to understand the lived reality of various people in various markets. It gives you variety, it builds your skill, it gives you psychology, it gives you empathy. How do we go about achieving this? The first thing is, when you look at any of your clients, you need to be asking, are they a high, medium, or low risk in the corona economy? So those of you who have got hair salons, restaurants, casinos, physical casinos, hotels, airports, air travel, tourism, that is corona high risk. Your conversations there are most likely to be with people who are where in the Kubler-Ross curve. They're most likely in the anger, fear phase or depression phase. If you don't tap into that and demonstrate an empathy where you can sympathize and empathize with them, any conversation that follows afterwards won't be heard or seen by them. Who's in the medium corona environment? Well, you guys largely are. We as a business are. We work with business owners to help them grow their businesses. We're very similar in that sense. We work with business owners to make the money and to invest in growth. You work with business owners to protect everything they've made and to protect their means of income generation. We're both fortunate because we both have the capability to work digitally. We're medium risk. Who else would be medium risk? Suppliers into the big mining sectors are medium risk. The mining sectors are strategic assets to this country. They create jobs, they generate economy, and in the midst of all this health crisis, certain mines have been classified as essential services. So who's low risk? Well, Corona low are going to be everyone in the essential services or everyone supporting the capability of people in Corona medium environment to trade. So going back to that example, that business that supplies software and hardware and connectivity, that's a fairly low risk business because they are supporting the entire medium risk Corona economy businesses to operate during lockdown. So it's really important that when you look at your clients, classify them against high, medium, low, because the mindset of that business owner, the mindset of that team, the mindset of that business's leadership is going to be governed by the status that business has in the Corona economy. The next thing is size impacts action. Very large businesses have had the benefit of accumulating reserves for a rainy day. Smaller businesses, well, if you look at the 5 years of regressive economic growth, you look at what Eskom has done, you look at the cost of inflationary items such as premises and accommodation, fuel, what it's effectively done to smaller businesses is prevented them from building a reserve. It's also put them in a very difficult position from a resource point of view. Those businesses, the smaller businesses, have to rely on talent pools that are very different to the talent pools you find in corporate entities. Size really does matter. The way that you speak to a business doing 2 million a year in revenue, compared to 10 million a year in revenue, compared to 30 million a year in revenue, compared to 300 million a year in revenue will be very, very different. Their reserves and their resources will impact the mindset of that leadership team, again, along the Kubler-Ross curve. And then you need to understand the impact of the type of business. Businesses in very, very deep supply chains, like, for example, the mining or automotive sector, has many, many implications to it. I'll give you a good example. The automotive sector is going to take some time to get going. Yes, you might be importing certain assembly units, but those units coming out of China, coming out of Japan, come from factories that were shut down during the Corona period of their lockdown. They've started again, but they are serviced by many, many small businesses supplying the screw, supplying the rubber linings, whatever the case might be. And those small businesses have to get up and running in order to get those larger businesses up and running, in order to get a business in South Africa able and capable to get stock on hand to service the automotive OEM or afterpart market in which they do their trade. It's important to understand that value chain. Think about, for example, let's go back to it, a simple barber shop. Very shallow value chain. They have a store, they've got seating, they've got a few products, they've got people, they've got scissors, mirrors, and hair and nose and ear wax capabilities for those of you who've had it. Really, if you look at their business, there's not much in their supply chain. It's far simpler. The bigger the business, the bigger the sector it's in, the deeper the supply chain. Not understanding what sits on either side of your client from a supply chain point of view and from a customer point of view robs you of your ability to empathize with what challenges they're facing and therefore have a conversation. It robs you from understanding the mindset of those business owners. Another thing that impacts this is age. I was having a really interesting discussion with one of our restaurant clients. They've got about 184 restaurants around the country. And he was saying to me, besides Eskom, besides the poor economy, the fact that they are a level 1, maybe even level 2 perhaps, COVID risk business is concerning him. But what concerns him more is that to set up one of his franchise restaurants is a 5 to 6 million rand investment. And on top of it, if you are a business owner, let's say over the age of, what would it be, 60, maybe 63, maybe 65, maybe 55 for some people, and you have to go and secure a loan in order to get your business going again, because you've lost 1 month, 2 months, 5 months of trade. That loan indebts you further. Are you thinking, should I hold on to what I've got in terms of cash and call it quits? Because should I secure that loan for another 1 million or 2 million? At the age of 65, I've only got another 2, 3, 4 years before I want out. Will I be able to pay back the loan and conserve my capital for my retirement? Think about that mindset compared to the restaurant owner who's 38, 39, and has got a lot of gas in the tank. The two of them will have very different views on how they are seeing themselves play out in the corona economy. Enable digital engagement. It's absolutely crucial, folks. If you are not digitally engaged and you are arguing, no, I'm not a technology guy. No, I really like the face-to-face engagement. Yeah, I do. I love face-to-face engagements. They're rich. It gives you insight. It gives you a sense of connectivity with people. It lets you read body language. It lets you read the way people are standing, sitting, talking, gesturing. It forms a warmth that creates a bridge. There is no choice. You have to learn to digitally engage, whether it be with clients or whether it be with your own team. The way to go about it is to look at 2 layers of doing this. In the first instance, communications. Are you relying on WhatsApp? Are you relying on SMS? Are you relying on screens? Are you relying on Zoom or Skype or Knox or the many other competing products out there, all busy slamming and bad-mouthing each other at the moment? What are you relying on to communicate with your clients? What suits them rather than what suits you? If you're in the creative environments, is it Instagram? If you're in the business professional services, is it LinkedIn? Not establishing digital connectivity with your clients means that you have no ability to hold on to the clients you have and secure those that you want in the future. Not having that ability to regularly communicate with your staff and your team puts you in the position as a business owner where you get grumpy and angry thinking, well, here I am carrying salaries. I'm carrying the can of this entire business. What is my team doing to support me? If you can't communicate with them in an organized, structured way during lockdown, or level 4, 3, 2, or 1, you're missing a trick and you're hurting and harming your own business. Collaboration for service and response. What are the partners you need? Who do you need to be able to tap into digitally to say, hey, let's collaborate on building my client base. Let's collaborate, Old Mutual Insure, on servicing my client base. I have a series of questions that need to be answered. Let's collaborate around a technology that lets me get them answered quickly and fast. And why is that important? Because when someone is living in the felt crisis of anxiety, in asking a question, they need the answer fast. The answer might only be useful 2-3 days from now. But when I'm heightened with anxiety, the quicker you respond to me, the quicker it shows that you're partnering with me, you care about me, and you can feel me in terms of my stress and anxiety. You're going to then become my trusted source of reliability. The challenges are client capability. Many clients don't have the capability. So if you develop it, what does it mean for them? We've experienced that within our own client base. We work with about 640 businesses here in South Africa and about another 200 businesses across the US and the UK. And what we did is we got our clients up and running digitally so we could continue to serve them during this period. That's where the opportunity to collaborate comes into play. We've done a lot of work in that space. It's really important you get your clients able and capable. The next thing is staff capability. How do you get that right? If staff members say to you, no, I'm not good with technology, know that you are speaking to someone who is a dead man or woman walking. Because one of the outcomes of the corona economy is that we are going to increase digital engagement more and more and more. We've certainly found it within our environment. We rely on meeting clients every fortnight for 2 hours to take them through their growth plan and to support their growth. Had we not enabled our clients to become digitally enabled, and then not enabled our staff to become digitally enabled, how would we have 200 people working effectively in the midst of a lockdown? It would have been impossible. When I hear someone says, I'm not a tech person, I see a dead person walking. There is absolutely no excuse and there is no choice. Because as we emerge out of the corona economy, a lot of our clients, certainly in the services industry, have started to say, gosh, why do I need a premises? I'm going to establish a work from home policy for our teams. I want to get rid of this landlord that was nasty and aggressive to me in the lockdown period, where I only now need my offices perhaps for 1 or 2 days a week. I might well be moving into shared spaces instead. Skills and techniques are critical. You have to upskill yourself to become technically proficient. You have to upskill yourself to learn how to sell and engage and build relationship across digital screens. Those of you who do will reach the customers of those who don't. It's not that hard to understand. See it that way and create a sense of necessity and urgency behind yourself and your team to get it right. Set your strategy. Let's get into it. During lockdown, it's all about save and reset. You have to preserve capital in your business, and your clients will be thinking similarly. And that means they're going to stop all the costs that don't kill and impede their operations. Short-term insurance is one of those. It's important that you have your arguments well understood for the core inner layer, the middle layer, and the outer layer of your client's business. Because when someone says, I'm no longer paying my policy premiums, then you need to say, I understand you need to preserve capital, but let's just look at what's covered and what's not. Let's look at it from what's core to your business as opposed to what's not core nor strategic. And through that, we can help you manage cash flow. Engage your team. Capacitate them to engage all your clients and customers. They're doing so not with the view to sell, but with the view to understand the lived reality, the new circumstances that clients and customers are facing. Engage all your suppliers, all of them, whoever they may be, and look to trade with them. Look to see how you can be of service in return, but more importantly, look to see what costs you can prevent from bleeding out of your business. Exhaust all the support. Funding the Lockdown is a great a website. It kind of consolidates all the support that's out there and it's up to date. Look at what's there, take advantage of it. So that happens during lockdown. The moment the economy starts to open post-lockdown, you're moving into an amber phase. And that is to take all the lessons you've learned, all the engagements you've had during the red phase, and turn them into a new way to rebuild your business. And I say rebuild because I can promise you the way you did things pre-corona will have to be very different to the way you do things post the lockdown for the next 18 to 24 months. At the end of the 24-month period, we will return to normal, but it'll only be 70% of normal. because people would have developed a whole lot of new habits which are far more efficient and cost effective in their own operations and engagements. So test new propositions with customers and suppliers. When you speak to your clients and customers and you've understood their businesses in terms of the inner layer, the outer layer, and the middle layer, you would have heard from them what matters and what doesn't. You would have heard from them what in how you are selling to them and engaging with them is working and what is not. Take those new methods of engagement, those new methods of conversations, and start testing them with your clients. That's what I mean by proposition. Then digitize and enable social distancing strategies. There is going to be a ton of legislation around what is allowed and what's not allowed. If you don't demonstrate that in your everyday business, in the way that you engage with your clients, in the way that you engage with your staff, when you do engage with your clients and they don't see you behaving in that manner, they are going to think, well, you won't understand the challenges I face in my business around physical distancing. Invest and drive prospecting. And what I mean by this is take your staff who are engaging with clients and start to look for new clients, given your ability to create new messaging, new scripts, new propositions that you have seen working within your own client base. And then start building systems. Systems are activities in a sequence that can be measured and taught. So a good selling system, for example, is if you've understood what message works well with potential clients, design the message, craft the message, script the message, and then teach your team to deliver that message in the way that you have now seen works. And set targets. So I expect you as my team member to find 20 new prospects a day and to engage them using this methodology I've taught you. Because during the lockdown phase, had you been doing it, 20 new prospects a day is 100 a week. Fifth week is 500 new prospects that you should be able to go and explore and engage with during the amber phase. Again, exhaust all the support that's out there. It's constantly changing, so look at it. Once we get 6 months out of lockdown, even though we're going to have a lot of uncertainty still in the economy, that's when you would have learned what's working and what's not in this new unstable environment. And then you need to move to a position where you're leading your team rather than doing the work yourself. Set growth targets, get access to funding, because that funding is going to be important to support new client acquisition. There are many, many brokers out there who won't be doing anything that I've shared with you. Should you be doing some of it or all of it, you're going to be one of the last businesses standing, and you will be able to capitalize on the fact that many have lost clients because they themselves have lost the will to fight. You need to look for value. It's a great time to acquire some small brokerages, for example, in different areas and different locations who haven't updated their ability to engage with clients and customers using your new propositions. I just want to take a break for a minute, and I want to get very practical. So please bear with me because I'm going to break the flow of the webinar. But I want to show you how you bring these tools into action in a very real, practical way. Okay, I've gone onto LinkedIn. And very specifically, what I want you to see is I went and selected just a few businesses randomly. I selected them in the UK for the simple reason that I want to protect using any current South African business owners as a case study for their own privacy, but more importantly, it could be someone's client. If I go into LinkedIn and I'm doing my prospecting and I'm looking at this particular screen, what I see is a chap called Lee Taylor. We can see what he does. He is a Minuteman franchisee. Let's go down and have a look. There, he works for Minuteman Press. He's a business owner there, so he's a franchisee. It means he has a franchisor. If we go down and he says full service digital print center, let's look at the picture of him. What can we tell? There he is, standing at the counter where customers get served. Immediately, we can see that he's proud as a business owner. He's dressed with a tie. He has his brand behind him. And he's saying with his body language, I'm open for service. Let's talk, let's greet. Let me see how I can be of assistance to you. If we go down further, what's he doing during the COVID period? Well, really, he's promoting his product. He's saying, get business cards. If we look at his experience, he's only been doing this for 6 years. And former to that, he was in the British Armed Forces for 23 years. So what does it tell you about this person? If this was a prospect of mine and I'm in your shoes, I'm looking at this saying, well, he likes structure, he likes organization, he was involved in catering and functioning and facilities management. So he's got good project management capability. He was providing people with food. He's very personable. He's very open. He's very much saying, let me be of service to you. What would please him? What would please him is the delight of the people he served over here. And what would please him is the delight of his customers who got really good quality business cards from him. It tells us a lot. He was educated at a school. He never had any formal business training. And that's why he probably acquired a franchise. He was hoping to get commercial support for his next career after being in the British Armed Forces. His relationships and friendships are going to be pretty much with people who were employed in the British Armed Forces. What does that tell you about him and how he engages? He likes warmth, but he likes formality. He's going to be structured in his thinking. He's going to see how he can be of service. Anyone working for any government entity in the United Kingdom is a civil servant looking to be of service. Your engagement method with him would be very, very different to, for example, Neil. Let's look at Neil. Neil Badwa is a business owner at the Cambridge Fruit Company. Let's have a look at a picture of this man. There he is. Good-looking guy, probably in his mid to late 30s, good-looking wife. They show that they are proud of how they present themselves and how they appear. He is going to be very interested in physical demonstrations of his success and upward mobile capabilities. If we go down, what's his activity? Fruit box. What do you do when your market disappears? He shared it. Immediately that tells you that he believes in the value of that particular article, whatever it is. He's been a business owner for 14 years, and prior to that, he was an account manager at General Electric. Account managers are people who, like us, are very much involved in the sales elements of the businesses they are responsible for. He finished at school, and he was fortunate and privileged enough to get a good education in economics and management. And that's why he is looking at his business from an economic situation, as opposed to a more emotional service situation. If you have a conversation with Neil, you need to be very well prepared around how the economic environment is impacting his business. If you have a conversation with Lee Taylor, you need to be very prepared around how the economic situation is impacting his ability to engage with his customers. Can you see from a simple exercise like this, simply skimming down and looking at the profile of these individuals, you've already developed a form of empathy and understanding for when you engage them or prior to engaging them. So with that, I want to get back to the presentation and move towards closure. Be the best you can be in the moment. Folks, no one has experience in this environment. Everyone you're speaking to is nervous. The businesses that are flying, doing really, really well, are equally nervous. Why? Because they recognize, although I might be supplying hand sanitizer, a restaurant that closes down, shedding 30 jobs, prevents 150 mouths from being fed by the people who lost their jobs. Put one restaurant, stack up 10, stack up 300, stack up 1,000. The impact this is having on the economy is profound. Our government has admitted that they themselves are implementing strategies that will change as they learn, because we're all learning. When I say be the best you can be in the moment, understand yourself. Use that same level of empathy to understand your staff. Use the same level of empathy to understand your customers and clients. And then create a plan based on a 24-month COVID economy and go about implementing it with the view that you want to reset during the lockdown periods, rebuild in the early stages of the economy opening up, and then ignite and accelerate after that. Set your sights far ahead, but act in the moment by being present. This will help you build confidence, clarity, and certainty. When you act, you're empowered. When you act, you can see what's working and what's not. When you can see what's working and what's not, discard that which is not and double down on that which is. People power your business, especially your business. Unless you are engaging with clients and building relationships to have the right kinds of conversations during lockdown, or have the right kinds of conversations for a red risk business, to an amber risk business, to a green risk business, you rob yourself of the opportunity to understand where clients are coming from and to get a real insight into what matters to them and what doesn't. It's that insight that will help you change the way you engage with clients, and that change in recognizing the changed problems and environments that clients are living in will set you apart from people who have not undertaken that activity. So Insure Talk on the 14th of May has been put forward by Old Mutual Insure as an opportunity for all of you that I was asked to present. There were a bunch of people who applied to be part of the webinar, and through that, these individuals over here have been given access to that following Insure Talk event on the 14th of May. So congratulations to all of you. The first, what is it? The early bird catches the worm. It's really important to be acting in the moment and to be acting consistently. I don't know what your life is like. Mine certainly has turned into a 16-hour day. We are right side by side, our business owner clients. We are holding their hands, we are prodding them, and we are pulling them into the future that we believe is one of the greatest opportunities that this uncertainty has created. And that is within their businesses to do the resetting properly, to do the rebuilding structurally, and to raise funding in order to reignite. Because as a last person business standing, they will capitalize on a massive growth opportunity 6 months from now. I want to end by just sharing a few resources with you. They're all available at auric.com. A recording of this webinar and other webinars will be made available. This webinar will be kept in a private .com folder for you. But on the shared.com, there's a lot about mindset. There's a lot about business battle plans. There's a huge amount of information on negotiating with landlords, negotiating with SARS, understanding how to negotiate, negotiation techniques. There's a tremendous amount of information, in fact, 2 webinars on working with people, developing this empathy that I've been speaking to you about, and more importantly, within your own teams, understanding how to engage your staff and to get them productive and active and positive. There's a lot on digitization, how you digitize the business, the 4 different layers, the different approaches to staff, the different approaches to customers. And then there's a three-stage strategy for 18 months, a general strategy for any business owner out there. Get access to it. It's free. It's available. Help capacitate and deepen your understanding so you can engage more effectively with your clients. Specific questions you want answered will also be there. And then we have a COVID economy of the book Sweat Scale Sell. This is a book that specifically speaks to 11 business owners in South Africa who built very successful businesses and did so against the most terrifying odds. It's written in story to make it readable and entertaining, but it is extremely practical in terms of tactics and strategies and techniques that you can implement in your own business. And more importantly, should you gift it to clients, they can implement in their own businesses. We have a very interesting engagement going forward. From an Auric point of view, we work with businesses to make money. From an Old Mutual Insure point of view, you work with businesses to protect the businesses and the assets they've created in order to make that money. And with that, I wish you guys the best of luck. Remember, in my parting words, winners get up. Get up means you act. You get calm fast. You build your strategy. You implement it. Truth is only found in action. So trust in yourself and have the confidence that you can get through to the other side.